No, but that
Okay,
might
keep
be
going.
the recording was lost.
I'm just going to go back to the beginning of this problem real quick and start there again, because I don't know what got cut off.
No, it cut off like 5 seconds ago.
Okay, so back to this problem. If we want to solve, since you're having some little few math issues here, we're going to divide both sides by 100, and we get 1/2 to the exponent, I'll just call it x, is equal to 0.75. You with me?
Yeah.
Now, if I take the natural log of both sides, I get x times ln times 1/2 is equal to ln of 0.75.
Okay.
Oh gosh, you can't see it at all.
I'm
Holy
sorry.
shnikes.
Wait,
There you go.
it's starting to adjust.
Okay, so
Or not minus.
the natural log pulls that x down, so we get natural log of 1/2 times x equals that. And so then we divide the natural log of 0.75 by the natural log of 0.5. So what is x equal to? 0.415. That's not how many years, that's the number of half-lives. So if we have that many half-lives, how old is that? 12.3 times that.
5 years.
I mean, can you give me more sig figs, please?
5.10.
5.10
Years.
years.
That is
That's pretty accurate.
Okay, why is that? Why?
aged is better.
Well, 5 years, you can buy day-old wines. That's not horrible.
No, it's not horrible, but it's not anywhere near the quality of wine I drink.
You're such a Westlake person. The quality of wine you drink. That's good, Emily. Go Shafts. Way to go, Westlake high school teenagers talking about drinking wine. Awesome.
I really don't use wine. Disclaimer.
Okay, so let's move on. And we are going to calculate mass deficiency here. This is what I was talking about, how a nucleus of chlorine weighs 34.9689. However, something's wrong there because we have 35 nucleons in the nucleus. So I'm just going to write down your masses again. A proton weighs 1.00728. A neutron, and what did it weigh? What was our units? Not the crazy units, the actual units. AMUs, or grams per mole. Okay. So what we're going to do is individually figure out chlorine atoms' mass, what it should be based on the individual parts. Chlorine has 17 protons, and how many neutrons with this isotope? 18. So if we multiply 17 times 1.00728 and add it to 18 times 1.00867, I went ahead and did this for you. We get 35.27982 AMUs. So we're going to calculate the mass deficiency or mass defect by doing what? This couldn't be any easier, folks. Subtract the 35.27982 minus 34.9689, and we get a mass defect of 0.31092 grams per molar AMUs. Okay? And I want to get out of AMU world because when we get to joules, we need a kilogram, and kilogram and AMU, not so much. All right. So I want to cross this out and change this problem to say, based on 31, find the binding energy in joules per mole. So we're going to use this mass defect, and how am I going to find binding energy?
E equals MC squared.
E equals mc squared. So we solving for energy. What's our mass going to have to be? Point what?
0.31.
Nope. We want what unit?
Oh,
Kilograms. So 0.0003192 grams per mole. Oh, sorry, kilograms. I just said it was kilograms. And then we get 3 times 10 to the 8th. What's the unit on the speed of light? Meters per second. We're going to square that. Is the camera still going? Okay.
Yeah.
And then energy is equal to I got 2.80 times 10 to the 13th.
I got 2.0 times 10 to the 15.
Joules per mole. So that is our binding energy. It's amazing how much is required to actually hold that nucleus together. The world is amazing.
Oh, you should see the
That's
video.
right.
It's like people. It's called like People Are Amazing.
Oh no, I've seen it.
You've seen
and
it?
had to endure the very uncomfortable last person swimming in the water. I felt so uncomfortable. It was so
Oh,
sad.
that,
Yeah, that was
What?
not comfortable. Alright, we'll talk about
Yeah,
that later,
no,
not now. Alright, we're gonna cross out, we're almost done guys, we're gonna cross out 30-4 because this is gonna be the demo problem. And that's where my story comes in, but let's do one more radioactive tracer problem. It's not really a tracer, this is an example of chemotherapy and how the chemo, what type of radiation, in this case it's cobalt. The uses of radiation in medicine is just like unlimited. So I know everyone's so scared of radiation and all, but they don't realize all the awesome things that come out of it as well. Chemotherapy being one of those. We have a cobalt treatment, and it says this decays at the half-life of 5.27 years. How much of a 3.42 microgram sample of cobalt remains after 30 years? So we're going to use our shortcut. A, original, times 1/2 the number of half-lives is equal to A. So what do I put in as my original sample that we're injecting into the patient? 3.42 micrograms. That's not a whole heck of a lot. 1/2 to the number of half-lives. Is that what we're looking for? No, we need that. We know that we're going for 30.0 years, but the half-life is 5.27, and that'll tell us the number of half-lives. And that's going to be equal to the amount after that time. Are y'all okay with the shortcut? I like it.
I like it.
I like it a lot. What do we get?
0.0661 kilograms.
0.0661 micrograms. That's it. So that's how much is left, even after 30 years. So you got to think about all these people undergoing chemo. They're walking around hot with some radioactivity going on. It's interesting. So any questions about any of the equations we've done? What you need to focus on when you're studying? Okay, so here's my story. Ready?
Yes.
Okay, it's a good one. So, when I was in college, that's how I'm starting the story. You
Good
excited?
story. Oh god.
good story. Tell it again.
Alright, so it was summer, and I was an RA in the summers in one of the dorms, and we would spend a lot of time, I don't know if any of you know UT, know some of the dorms out there, was at Consolving, and Consolving has this like big old double building, and then there's a roof in between the two. And then we have a barbecue pit out there, a volleyball net, and all that kind of stuff. And we were having a burger burn. It was one of those times we were hanging out in the summer, having a good time, playing volleyball. And I remember specifically playing, and I felt something on my arm, like sting, and I was like, ow, that hurts. And I was like, yeah, whatever, I ignored it. But then after the game, I looked, and I had been bitten. And it started out like a little round, dime-sized black spot, kind of. And then as the day wore on, this is probably about noon when it happened, and then by 2, it had spread, and it was like my tissue was dying. And you could see the tissue kind of getting all gross, and the venom was being pulled by gravity, so it wasn't even an even circle. You could tell it was being pulled downward. And it freaked me out. Like at 2, I was like, oh my god, this is crazy. So I went across the street to the quack shack, the infirmary there, which is pretty much a quack shack. And I go there, and I see this doctor, and she's like, oh, you've been bit by a brown recluse spider. And, not black widow, yeah, brown recluse. So she's like, well, I've never given this medicine before. These are the high quality doctors at the quack shack. But you're supposed to get like 3 of these 5 milligram tablets every 4 hours for the next whatever days or whatnot. I'm not real comfortable. That seems a lot. So let's just start with 1 and see if it stops the movement of the venom and all this stuff. So I was like, okay, great, whatever. And so it's 2 o'clock-ish. I take one of the pills, go to Eckerd's in my Honda, my rickety old Honda that I had in college. And it's dinner time rolls around, and I start to feel really bad. I'm getting a headache. I don't know why I feel so poorly. And I get to dinner, and this guy that I had a crush on, Brad Scott, I was like always wanting to go to dinner to sit next to him. He was like, did you just drink grape knee-high or something? And I'm like, what do you mean? Why you say that? And he goes, because your mouth is purple, your tongue is purple. And I was like, what? First I was like, oh, he's looking at me, but then I realized I'm purple. So I didn't understand why it was going on, but I felt horrible. So I went upstairs, my nail bed started turning purple, and I knew enough about science that something was going on, and I wasn't supposed to turn purple. It turned out that, so then I called, man, I hope I don't run out of time before the bell rings, because it's been ringing early. You might have to wait till tomorrow for the rest of the story.
I
don't know how I can
I'm going. So I went back, I called the nurse at the Quack Shack because they were closed at this point, and she's like, you hear a book open and pages turning, and she's like, oh, cyanosis is a common side effect of this drug. Just come see the doctor sometime tomorrow, and she set me up for like a noon appointment. Worst night of my life, had the worst headache, started to turn yellow, like jaundice. It was bad. My gums got black. Next morning, my sweet mate, another RA, like forced me to go. She said, we're breaking in, we're gonna go see the doctor immediately. Something's really wrong. I get there, and we break into the room where the doctor's seeing another patient, and the doctor nearly like falls over. She can't believe how, why didn't you call? I'm like, I did, your nurse is a freak. So, long story short, the drug that she gave me was turning my hemoglobin to a met hemoglobin, where it's kinked and it can't carry oxygen. 1 out of like 6 million people have this, and it's Mediterranean based, and my dad's born in Italy, so he probably has it too. But what they ended up doing, they wanted to give me a blood transfusion, I was saturated out though, no more was turning to bad hemoglobin, so they just wanted to let the half-life slowly, it eventually will go back to normal hemoglobin, so they just kept me on pain meds and the whole bit. So here's the problem, don't get up yet. You got a problem to solve. When I went into the hospital, she immediately put me in the hospital. I was 33% net hemoglobin. They would not release me until I was at 5%. The half-life of net hemoglobin was 1.2 days. How long was I in the hospital?
A while.
No, it's really not that long. How long was I there?
Like 3 days.
It was 3.267 days. Long, you know what, the real moral, this is a life lesson from Demo, don't turn it off yet, good part of the story. Guess what would have happened to me had she given me the 3 pills?
Died.
I would have died. They couldn't have gotten to me in time.
Well then.